What up, YouTube? Welcome back to the vlog. Yes, it's a driving vlog. Yes, we skipped 1 week of our weekly updates. We got busy. Let's get to it.
Never at ease, I don't know a limit. Chasing a dream, I don't know what sleep is. I got a queen, she lit me to evening. She ripe like a peach and she snapped me to snippet. You well overdue for that link up in person. Text me to fall through its murder, she wrote it. Still up with courage, you're doing a service. Pull up to the crib, I'm equipped with the brush strokes. Cutthroat from the low, where no love goes. Women buddy like it's been that. Wanna fuck me looking at the bill stack off the bubbly buddy.
So let me do a quick recap on last week's supposed to be, I believe that's gonna be week 8, right? And this week is supposed to be week 9, right? So let me do an update on that week. We actually did just 1 load that week, and man, let me tell you, we made a video in between that, right? We were looking at the load board around Madison area, right? Madison, Wisconsin area. And you know, see, you know how I say always, like, you have to stay patient, right? Looking at the load board, working the load board, you have to stay patient. Well, I got impatient. I really did. I got impatient. I was there for 2.5 days. I was not finding anything that is, there was loads. Don't get me wrong. There were loads, but I was not finding anything worth, taking really, I mean, I'm in that area, that general vicinity. I'm expecting a lot higher in the 30-day average, and the truck stop, estimated pay was, above what the market was offering at that moment. That's why I was like, what is going on with the market? You know what I mean? It was definitely a weird, the rates were not there. You know what I mean? I think it was mostly probably, a lot of trucks in the area, capacity was not there, The capacity, like the load board was full, but it was full of junk, So anyway, I got impatient and I took a load, right? It still paid okay. I did not regret taking that load. It was a 6-stop load coming out of Fox Lake, Wisconsin, going into the Michigan area, because I was like, you know what? Once we get to the Michigan area, maybe we'll find us a load going back home, taking us home to Las Vegas, and then we'll just take one of those. And I look around before I took that load. I looked around the south side of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio area, you know what I mean? Kentucky, northern Kentucky. I was like, you know what? There's a possibility that we're going to get a load out of that area if we take this one load, get it done by Friday, and then by Friday morning, that is, and then we'll have it, we'll be able to pick up a load taking us home, all the way home, that at a decent rate. So that was the whole thinking on that. That's why I grabbed that load. It was a 6-stop load, right? It was a total of all the miles, within the Michigan area, it was a total of 731 or 34, something like that. It was under 750 miles, right? So it was paying $2,100. Yeah, I know it wasn't that great, man. Like, that's not good at all, right? But like I said, it was gonna put us in a semi-decent area because, see, I don't want to add on. I don't mind deadheading. I probably just deadhead from Avon, Minnesota, all the way to St. Louis. That's probably would have been the better choice. But like I said, I did not regret going towards Wisconsin because of the fact that I learned a lot within that market, and I like what I saw and what I learned. Like that load that I picked up with 6 stops in it, I did not mind that because of the fact that I learned a lot from that particular load. Not only that, I saw that they have a lane, that shipper has a lane going all the way into California, and they had it posted for 75. I was able to negotiate 7,800. It was a 12-stop load going all the way to California. It would have taken you 1 week. I'll guarantee you that. But at 7,800 ending in California, northern side of California, that is, that's not bad, right? But we were too late. By the time all of the, back and forth happened, somebody already booked the load, so we were too late for that one. But that was a good learning curve, and I know that they have that lane there, you know what I mean? So that's up here, so anyway, so let's talk about numbers first before we talk about what do you call it, our weekly thing. Okay, so we're gonna include, see, I always talk about long-term in trucking, right? You gotta think long-term. So we're gonna include last week into this week. We did so good this week, last week did not look that bad at all, so let's go ahead. So we're gonna start it from Avon, Minnesota, okay? We deadhead from Avon, Minnesota to Fox Lake, Michigan, and then from Fox Lake, Michigan to the Michigan area, or Fox Lake, Wisconsin, I'm sorry. So Fox Lake, Wisconsin to the Michigan area, right? 6 stops, and we ended up in Battle Creek, Michigan, okay? From Battle Creek, Michigan, we did Amazon. We dropped our trailer at the TA over there in Battle Creek, Michigan. Dropped our trailer. We saw that Amazon was doing really good, so we picked up Amazon going into Tennessee, Nashville area. From Nashville area, we picked up another Amazon load. That was a lucky one. I was preparing to bobtail all the way to Battle Creek, Michigan, but that was a lucky one. Picked up another one going into Fort Wayne, or Cincinnati, Cincinnati, and then we just bobtailed all the way back to Battle Creek, Michigan to go pick up the trailer. And then from Battle Creek, Michigan, we went to Galesburg, Michigan, which is only like 10 miles away. That was a military load picking up. And then it went to Cincinnati, Ohio, and that one paid okay, because like I was still not seeing the area to be better as far as rate wise. So I was like, you know what, let me go grab this load, right? That one required ramps at the receiving. At the pickup and receiving, it required ramps. So that one paid over $350 a mile, right? But it's short run. It was like less than 300 miles. So it took us to Cincinnati. And then from Cincinnati, we found another military load picking up in Camp Atterbury, right? That took us all the way, all the way to Cheyenne, Wyoming. All of that took 2 weeks, okay? With that said, we ran a total of 3,741 miles, all miles. Loaded miles, that was 3,067. Deadhead miles is 647. And we grossed a total of 10,300 from Avon, Minnesota to now. We are heading home, deadheading home, okay? We're deadheading home from Cheyenne all the way to Las Vegas. That's 830 miles. I'm not gonna count these because I'm ready to go home. You know what I mean? So we'll pick it back up when we get started again from Las Vegas. Okay, anyway, let's move on. So we grossed a total of 10,300, right? And all miles that paid, all of the miles at 3,700 miles is $2.75 a mile. Woo, that's amazing, man. And then loaded miles is $3.35 a mile, right? Fuel-wise, I felt like it went up a little bit, especially in this area, in the West Coast area. So I'm gonna average that at 324, right? And then our MPG, I think we did a lot better than 7, but I'm gonna just call it 7 because that last load that we did, that going to Cheyenne, that was actually, that container actually had some weight in it. I think they were saying 15,000 pounds, but I think it was more like close to the 20, and that Humvee and stuff like that, because we were gross at like 68. I weighed that load and we were gross at 68. I want to make sure our axles were good. So anyway, 7 MPG, and that's a total of 534 gallons we used in fuel. When you multiply 534 to 324, that equals to 1731, and that's 16% of the gross. 16% of the gross. Fuel, 16%. Woo, 16%. The week before that was 14%. That was an amazing week, okay? This week, this is 2 weeks though. So I combined the 2 weeks, right? Because the last one, there was nothing really much to talk about on that one, okay, last week's. Because it's one load for 2,100, we ran 740 miles plus 326 mile deadhead to get to that load, so it's just, that's why I say, like, you always got to count on your long term in trucking, right? Because everything, when you're working the load board, it's all about positioning yourself, positioning your truck where it should make profit. Now, when I was doing flatbed, like skateboard, right, straight flatbed, there was the thing about flatbed is, like, if you do an OTR on flatbed, it has to be a 53 foot, because then you can do little partials, you can do 60 foot freaking beams and things like that. You know what I mean? Is because on a 48 you're so limited, unless you're in areas like let's say Cleveland, let's say southern Indiana area, northern Kentucky area, Ohio, southern Ohio area, all that area right there is really good. Like, you got steel, you know what I mean? So, like, 48 is a perfect trailer for steel, because a lot of it doesn't go that far, except for those, like I said, those 60 foot beams, 65 foot beams. Those really pay really good, but you need a 53 foot trailer. So that's why I think OTR wise, if you're doing open deck, I know I'm getting off topic now, but let me close it out. If you're doing open deck, 53 OTR on a flatbed and 53 on a step deck, that's it. So after the Michigan several drop loads, right, we went into, it was Friday morning, we ended that in the Battle Creek area, right? And man, let me tell you, it was in the morning. We ended it in the morning, and we could not find a load that was good enough to take. You know what I mean? So it's, what you call it? It's what is wrong with this FedEx? You see this? Don't drive like that. I think what it is like he's limited to like 65 miles an hour. I'm doing 65, and he just used the hill to. He's loaded, so he just used the hill to go faster than me. I tell you. Anyway, so Michigan, right? I did. I was in the Battle Creek area. I was empty by 10 o'clock, and I could not find no load within that area, within a 300-mile radius. And I was already looking before I got to my last, stop. Because, like, the second stop on that trip was like, they didn't open till 8 o'clock, and then it was another 60 miles away for me to drive, So anyway, we could not find a load, so we went into the truck stop over there in the TA. I was like, man, it's a sad week, I mean, you're gonna get those weeks, right? You're always gonna get, a bad beat, some type. You know what I mean? Like, the good thing is, like, we're not really like deadheading all over the place just to come up empty. You know what I mean? So patience still works, but the fact that we're not working is actually making it pretty bad. You know what I mean? It's a pretty miserable experience, especially if you spend a lot of time on the load board, And I think also me using truck stop contributed to that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, there's a lot of information on truck stop. It's all over the place, and that it's DAT Loadboard is more friendly to my eyes. But here in the past week, I concentrated more on truck stop, so it's a little bit easier for me, for me to see it. So maybe I am liking truck stop. But anyway, so we went to the TA, right? And then I was like, man, this is no good. So we were able to call somebody else before the end of the day on Friday, right? Just so we could have something to do. It was paying $900 and it was going 280 miles, going into St. Louis area, Illinois area, right? So that would have been good, you know? So I was like, okay, let's take that, right? They never sent the rate con. So I was like, well, I guess they freaking went home and they never sent the rate con. So anyway, I didn't even bother calling them. I was like, okay, let's reset. Let's look around tomorrow and see what happens tomorrow, you know? So the next day, Saturday, I was like, you know what, man? Let me grease the truck. I started greasing the truck, you know, and then I was like, after I greased the truck, I took a shower, and then I was like, you know what? Let me look on the Amazon load board just to look around, you know? The night before, I was also looking around. There was some potential, but it wasn't like the next day, you know? The next day, on Saturday, I was like, let me go look around the load board. And sure enough, I was watching it the whole day, you know? Like, I'd say 3 or 4 hours, I was watching the load board and the Amazon load board in the area. I was like, wow, there's potential here, right? Because we're right there in the middle. Detroit, Amazon is very active. Northern part of Michigan, Amazon is very active, you know? And then you obviously you have Chicago area, you know, that's very active. So, and Fort Wayne, very active. So you're pretty much surrounded, right? And I was like, let me keep watching this. And then there was that one load, that one Amazon load. I was like, oh crap, this thing is going up. You know, I waited. It started at like $2.50 a mile, and then it went up to making almost $3. And I was like, okay, let me go watch this a little bit more, you know? And then I kept watching it, and it went up to $3.60. I'm like, dang. Still nobody was taking it, you know, and it was almost departure time, you know. I was like, okay, let me go talk to the manager, and while I'm watching this board, right? So I talked to the manager of the store at the TA. I was like, hey, here's what I need to do. Can I drop my trailer if I go to reserve parking and pay for the parking? She said, man, you can do whatever you want, you know, as long as that spot is paid for, that spot is yours, a drop trailer or not, doesn't matter. I was like, cool. So we paid for reserve parking, dropped the trailer, and then booked that load at 367, I believe. I can't remember exactly. Going into Nashville area, Lebanon, Tennessee area, right? And then we spent the night over there after we dropped that off. We got that off, and like, you know, it's just one pick, one drop, right? And then we went to sleep over there, and I was like, we're probably gonna be bobtailing back home, you know? It's just, the only thing is I wanted something to do. Oh yeah, prior to that, I went to go play poker. See, that's what I do, you know? Like, if something just doesn't, like, you know, something so unmotivating in my current situation, I try to change it, you know what I mean? And that's why I went to go play poker and went across the street. I had no idea they had a freaking poker room over there. Went across the street to the casino and played some poker there. I was there about 2.5 hours, you know, and I won $400 or something like that. Anyway, oh yeah, I didn't even include that on the gross. That should be included in the gross, right? I would have never been able to play poker if I was able to find that load for that day or Friday. So I don't know. Anyway, so we went to go play poker and we went to go eat, right? And then went back and watched the Amazon load board some more, and then that's when we found that load and then booked it for 367 coming from Sedonia, Michigan or something like that. So we bobtail all the way up there. It was like 60-something miles, 70 miles or something like that. We bobtail up there, pick up that load, drop it off in Nashville area, and man, and then we slept the night over there in Tennessee, and then, so we got 2 days of reserve parking for the trailer. And then the next day I was bobtailing back home, right? I was like 20 miles away from Lebanon, Tennessee. And then another load pops up that was paying almost $3 a mile going to Cincinnati. I was like, all right, let's go, let's turn around, pick that up, and then boom. And then we just bobtail all the way back to Battle Creek, Michigan. And that whole Amazon trip was a total of around 1,100 miles, I believe. Yeah, something like that. And then the next, while on the bobtailing back home or back to the trailer, we found us that military load. I was like, you know what, let me make a decision now. Let me go grab this, get to the Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio area, right? It seemed like it should be a better area. And this load was still paying like $3 something a mile, you know, at $3.50-ish a mile or something like that. And then, but it required ramps, so it required a little bit of work. That's okay. And we got it off in the same day, you know what I mean? Picked it up in the morning, got it off the same day, so I was happy with that. And then the next day, which I did not know was like a holiday, we found that Cheyenne load. So what's going on with that load was like, it was two different hotshot loads that they combined into one. I don't know why they had that container listed as a hotshot load. I'm not aware of hotshots being able to load. I think that thing weighs like, I'd say around 18,000, that container, you know? I did not know hotshot could load that, you know? So anyway, they had it posted as a hotshot load, and then the Humvee and the trailer in a separate hotshot load. So the broker, what he did is combine those together and and made it a load for a 53-foot Stepdeck. Now, what he did not mention was that there was a container. It was a 53 or a 20-foot container that comes with that load. So we had to be a little bit more creative. That's why we had the thing loaded the way we got it loaded. You know what I mean? So it's just to get us going, man. It was like, it's amazing the way it looks like how we did, but I feel like this is the pessimist side of me, okay? The way I'm seeing things, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot going on, man. I feel like the market is definitely down, you know what I mean? Like, the rates are not there, you know? So that's why I was like, oh man, let's just go home and, you know, take a few days at home and then reset, do it again. You know what I mean? That's why I was looking for a load to go home. And then when I saw that Cheyenne load, I was like, you know what? They had it posted for 38. And then I was like, man, let's go 46. He said, no, I can never go that high. It's a military load, you know? And then he was like, can you do 4? I was like, man, do 44. He was like, I can't, man. I wish I got the money for it. You know what I mean? Because they just wanted it. The unit just is a reserve unit, right? They're training out there in Camp Atterbury, and they're out of Cheyenne. He said, I wish they had the money for it, man. They just don't. You know, he said, 42, we are all in on it. I was like, man, you know what, man? Let's just take it, man. You know what I mean? Let's just take it. So we took it. And now we're on the way home, you know? So some of the things I learned, right, in that region right there. Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, you know, Ohio. What states am I missing? Kentucky, right? That whole area right there. Some of the things I learned, man, is that you can make money, man. You just gotta be very, very selective and very, very patient, you know? I mean, prime example, right? Just look at us, you know what I mean? We ran a total of 3,700 miles, all miles, right? And grossed 10,300, right? But that took us 2 weeks, you know? That's a whole lot of patience, though. You know what I mean? Actually, the majority of that, 80% of that, it took us 1 week. So we did really good this week. I really like the way how we did this week, but at the same time, like I said, the pessimist side of me, looking at that load board over there, I was like, man, there was no hope, man. I could feel it, you know what I mean? I can literally see the writings on the wall, you know? So, because it's like, they were not budging, man. No matter, like, I made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls, man. And I look at thousands of freaking loads, man. And let me tell you, they were not budging, man. Nobody was budging. You know, the area was busy, but nobody was budgeting, you know? So I think that just shows you that they are seeing a lot of trucks in the area, you know? Like I said, we're not that special. Some of the things I learned within that region, you know, is that like there's definitely a couple of lanes that you can profit from, or you can use them to your advantage, you know. What I mean by that is like if the market is getting really bad, like let's say you're looking at short runs, right? If you got the same setup as me, and then you're looking at short runs, and then you're like, oh man, I'm not finding no short runs. The longer runs are no good, and then you have those options right there, those, you know, small picks. And then like if it's gonna end you say in Georgia, I saw some that were going to Georgia, you know, they're paying over $3.50 a mile. You know what I mean? But it'll have like 7 or 8 stops. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna be in Georgia, right? That's better than, my opinion, that's better than grabbing something 46,000 miles or 1,000 pounds where you're maxed out and you have to tarp the damn thing and take you to Georgia at $1.80 a mile. You know what I mean? Right? For me, that's better. I mean, it's gonna take you maybe a half a day, maybe a full day more to get to Georgia, but you're gonna make probably another $800-900 more than that other load that I mentioned. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a better route. So I think that's one of the things I learned. You know, they have quite a few of those lanes or a few of those shippers down that way, you know, that does that. You know, they'll make these like, or the one I was speaking of is trailers, right? There were trailers dropping off in what is that doggone store? It's kind of like a Harbor Freight, but it's not a Harbor Freight. Kind of like Northern Tools, but it's not Northern Tools. I forgot the name of the doggone Tractor Supply. There we go, Tractor Supply. Anyway, and they were quick. You know what I mean? It was just within 20 minutes you were in and out of there. You know, so and they were easy loads. So I would take those. You know what I mean? Like if I have no other choice but to take something that is paying $2 a mile and heavy as hell, I would rather take the ones with a lot more stops in it and then get those done and then get to a better market doing that. You know what I mean? So I think that's a better route. So that's one of the things I learned. The second thing I learned is that, you know, the Amazon thing. Amazon over there gets pretty busy, especially because it's like it's so concentrated. That area is so concentrated with Amazons that, you know what I mean? Something is bound to be good price-wise, but it's gonna be a last-minute thing. You know what I mean? So that's another tool in your bag that you can use. You know. And then let me see. The other thing I learned is like your ramps. Having ramps is so crucial in having a step deck. You gotta listen to me. Like if you're ever gonna get a step deck, get ramps. Make sure you have ramps, or get you a dovetail. You know what I mean? One of those two, man. I'm telling you, it's so crucial. You know, I think the low pro tires, for me, maybe not worth it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's worth it because the downside of that low pro, right? You can't go too fast during the heat. You know what I mean? You blow up those damn tires real easy, right? They get hot, and I go out there and I feel them. They get hot, you know. But for me, I don't go that fast anyway. Like I'm 65 miles an hour and I'm empty. You know what I mean? So, or actually I bump it down to 64. So anyway, have ramps. Make sure you have ramps if you're gonna get into a step deck, because that's an option for you. And another thing I learned is that have tarps. Make sure you got tarps. I don't got tarps because for me, when I was in the flatbed, I felt like tarping was not paying enough. You know, the load was not paying me enough for all the work that I do, physically and mentally. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, that's why I haven't bought tarps yet. But Stepdeck, you can definitely get good loads, like really good loads, if you got tarps. So with that being said, I think we're gonna buy some tarps. We're gonna buy tarps that are 10-foot drops. You know what I mean? We're not gonna buy too many of them. We're not gonna buy nothing special or anything. We're not gonna carry too many of them, you know? Because I'm not planning on hauling just regular steel, you know what I mean? Unless that thing pays really, really well. I'm not planning on hauling like coils, you know what I mean? Like freaking, whatchamacallit, those doggone, you know, those single coils. I'm not planning on hauling those, you know? I'm not planning on putting that much weight in that concentrated area in this trailer, you know? So, but as far as tarps, I think 10-foot drops on this step deck, they will definitely make their money's worth, you know? So anyway, that's the end of the video, man. That's the end of the week, man. We had a really, really good week. Probably not gonna have no video for a few days, you know? Maybe a week or so, because we're going home. You know, we're gonna take us a break, and then we're gonna pick it back up and see. We will see y'all then, man.